What's up, everyone? So we are back at it today, and we're doing things a bit differently. A while back, we gave you our initial thoughts on the Redtiger F17 Elite, and since then, a lot has changed in the dashcam world. We've been living with this triple channel setup for months now, through the summer heat, the morning frost, and countless miles on the road. Today, we're here to answer one question. Now that the honeymoon phase is over and newer models like the F17 Plus are hitting the shelves in this year, is the F17 Elite still a setup we'd put our name behind? Let's get into the long-term reality of this thing. When we first installed the F17 Elite, we praised the build quality, and honestly, that's one area where our opinion hasn't budged. After months of being baked in the sun, the mount is still rock solid, and we haven't seen any of that lens sag or vibration issues that plague cheaper units. The physical buttons below the screen still have a tactile click, which is great because in the long run, touchscreens can get a bit finicky if your hands are cold or the cabin is humid. However, there's a real-world catch we've noticed over time: heat management. Because this unit is essentially running 3 cameras and a 4K processor in a relatively compact shell, it gets warm. In our experience, if you're parked in direct sunlight for hours, the unit can occasionally struggle. We've seen some reports of minor freezing after a year of heavy use, though a quick firmware update usually cleans that up. It hasn't died on us yet, but it's a reminder that if you live in a place like Arizona or Florida, you really need to make sure you're using a high-endurance SD card that can handle the thermal stress this thing puts out. Long-term, the Sony Starvis 2 with IMX675 sensor in the front and rear is still the MVP of this system, while standard dash cams from a year or two ago are starting to look grainy compared to the flagships of the time. The F17 Elite's nighttime performance remains top tier. We've reviewed the footage from recent night drives, and the HDR still does a killer job of suppressing headlight glare so we can actually read plates. But here's the thing, the Elite tag might be a bit of a stretch for the cabin cam. While the full-color night vision for the interior was a world first at launch, compared to the newer F17 Plus or the latest mirror cams, it can look a bit soft. It's perfect for rideshare drivers who need to see faces, but if you're a vlogger looking for cinematic interior B-roll, you might find the 1080p resolution a bit dated by today's standards. Also, a quick tip for the long haul: check your rear camera cable. We've noticed the Type-C connection is much sturdier than the old 3.5mm pins, but if you're opening and closing a hatchback or tailgate daily, that 18-foot cable can take a beating. We've had 0 signal drops so far, but it's something to keep an eye on during your monthly checkup to make sure you're still getting that 2.5K feed from the back. If there's one thing that keeps the F17 Elite relevant this time, it's the Wi-Fi 6 support. We've tested plenty of cams where downloading a 3-minute 4K clip feels like waiting for a dial-up connection. Because this has Wi-Fi 6, the app experience is still one of the snappiest in the game. We can pull clips onto our phones in seconds, which is exactly what you need if you're trying to show an officer footage on the side of the road. The app itself has stayed updated, and Redtiger has been pretty good about pushing firmware fixes for minor bugs. But let's be real, the SD card management is a chore. Since you're recording 3 channels, 4K, 2.5K, and 1080p, you are eating through that 128GB card faster than you think. We've had to get into the habit of formatting the card once a month just to keep the loop recording from getting clogged. If you forget to do this, you might find that the G-sensor has locked too many vibration events, and you're suddenly out of space for new footage. In our opinion, the Redtiger F17 Elite has transitioned from being a cutting-edge flagship to being a reliable workhorse. If you're a rideshare driver or a parent who wants 360-degree coverage without spending new car money on a setup, this is still a massive win. The Starvis 2 sensors in the front and rear means you're not sacrificing the most important footage, the road, for the sake of the cabin. However, if you don't actually need the interior camera, we'd tell you to look at something like the Redtiger F77 or even the newer F17 Plus. The F17 Elite's 3-channel setup is its biggest strength, but it's also its biggest tax on your SD card and your power supply. So the final word, if you need that cabin eye for safety or insurance, the F17 Elite has proven it can survive the long haul. It's built well, the night vision is still competitive, and the Wi-Fi 6 keeps it feeling modern. It earns its spot on our windshield for another year, but it's definitely a tool for a specific job. Alright guys, that's the long-term reality. No hype, just the facts. If you've been running an F17 Elite for a while, let us know in the comments. How is your battery held up, and have you had any heating issues? We'd love to hear your boots on the ground perspective. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more real-world gear updates. Other than that, we hope you all have a simple day. Peace.